everybody, and welcome back to Lola's Lifestyle. Today I'm going to build some strawberry boxes. I purchased some larch from the local lumber yard. Larch doesn't grow around here naturally, so they have to plant it, and in about 10 years it's good to harvest. But larch is really good for, it doesn't rot as fast as like pine or a lot of the other lumber that you can use, and it doesn't attract a lot of bugs. It's really good to use if you're going to be making things for your garden or whatnot, because there's not any chemicals in it either. I would definitely not recommend using pallets. A lot of people will use pallets, but there's a lot of chemicals in there and you don't know what's going into your food. So I have a bunch of strawberry plants. They are June bearing. I really would like to get some ever bearing. So June bearing obviously only bears in June. Ever bearing, you'll get a larger crop, but they will, and it'll be throughout the year, throughout the summer. However, there'll be smaller berries than the June bearing ones. So just keep that in mind depending on what you want to grow for strawberries. So I'm trying my hand at building, it's a 5-tier strawberry box. You have to water them a little bit more just because of, the top layers are going to dry out faster than the bottom layers. And right now I currently have my strawberries in the ground, so I dug some of them up just to see how they would do. Now when they're on the ground, they don't do very well if there's a lot of weeds. So by building this tier system, I'm hoping to cut the weeds down and get a better strawberry crop. So here is my larch that I started putting together. So your opposite sides have to be the same length, and then the ones that are going the other way, they have to be a little bit shorter. So I started off with 8-foot boards. They're 1x6s, and for my bottom layer, it's 24 inches by 22 7/8. So each board, as you go up, each layer as you go up, one side will be an inch and an eighth shorter than the other side. So that way you can stack them, you can keep turning them and as you go up. So let's get started. I also have the premium wood screws. They're 9 by 3 inches. So they're 3-inch wood screws. You don't need them this long. I just had a bunch left over from my boxes that I built in my garden. I just wanted to make sure that I used them so they weren't just laying around. Also, you can use, sometimes I use the roofing screws. I have this awesome Makita Impact. I love this thing. I have 2 of them. And then I have this bit at the end here, a little star bit. I think it's a I don't remember, T25. I can't remember what it is. Oh yeah, T25 for an impact. So make sure if you're using an impact, you use one of these bits, because the ones that are not specific to impacts, they like to round out at the ends really fast. So here we go. So usually with these is what I'm doing is on the very ends where the edges meet, is I'm just screwing right through them. I did try my hand at adding some block to screw into for extra stability, but then it limited my space for planting strawberries. Now strawberries, you don't need to plant very deep. Just keep that in mind. They're very shallow rooted. Let me just make sure I have the right end here. I don't know if you can see, so I'm just gonna screw right into the end piece. There we go. Now we got it started. It makes it a little bit easier screwing into your boxes, into your boards. There you go, and then another one on the other side. Make sure you're lined up. There you go, now you can just put your other end on. Don't mind the mess, it is a work in progress, and I know that I have to continue weed whacking. It's a lot of work. I am the owner of Ciccarelli Family Farms, and I run it with my children. This year they'll be running the farm stand. They help me out with a lot of the growing. They definitely help with the picking and the weeding. I just like to start everything off as seed because to me it's kind of amazing to watch. There you have it. So when you throw it up on your box, just make sure that you hit the corners. They will fit just nicely. The corner's edge. And just keep going. Like I said, I'm gonna do 5 layers. And yeah, we should have a really nice finished product. Get my next 2 boards. I just have them all lined up on the ground so that I can see it goes from, you know, the larger one to the smaller one. That way I don't have to keep measuring to figure out where I'm at. I have them all stacked up nicely. Just gonna get all my ends started. Make my life a little bit easier. That's what it's all about, right? Hope everybody's doing well. I live here in New York. Finally, the weather's finally broke. But we're getting a lot of rain. Some bad storms. But it's in the 80s, so I can't complain. No snow. Looks like we have another storm brewing. Storm coming in. Next weekend is Memorial Day weekend. I always try to have my garden completely planted that weekend. I never met my grandmother, but my mom has told me that a good farmer always has their garden planted by June 1st. So I make it a point to make sure that Memorial Day weekend is my weekend to do nothing but planting. Yeah. There's your next box. Why not try to have it like halfway so that when I'm planting my strawberries, they look really cool. I'm hoping for a really nice waterfall effect, but we'll see. Maybe not. Oh, and I actually have some weed barrier fabric I put at the bottom. It's just big enough to cover the bottom square. Hopefully that way I'll keep the weeds down, then I could weed whack around the boxes. That's my plan anyways. And the rain's coming. We'll be back. Hi again. So I ended up finishing that top layer. So we're sitting at 5 right now, and I'm gonna show you what the finished product looked like before you end up putting your strawberries in there. As you can see, this is the garden boxes that I made, and made a little bit this year, and then most of them I made about 2 years ago. So I had a bunch of metal roofing left over, and I used Larch for the sides. I definitely have to go out there and fix some of it. I'm filling my boxes with horse manure that I end up getting from a guy that I work with. Him and his wife were gracious enough to give me some of their horse manure. Yay! So hopefully my garden will grow a lot better this year. Definitely dismantle it, makes it a little bit easier. Hey, this is a trial run, guys. I've never done this before. See what it does. And I will post a video of how my strawberries are compared to what they've been in the past years. Now, like I said, I end up getting this horse manure from a friend of mine that I work with, because I do have a job. I do. And he actually left some pumpkins. He threw some pumpkins that were rotting in his manure pile. So guess what? I have some seedling pumpkins. And I might end up with a new breed. What do you think? Strawberry pumpkins? Pumpkin strawberries? I doubt it, but should be interesting with my boxes. They'll be overflowing with strawberries and then probably some pumpkins too. So it could get very interesting here on the farm. All right, time for my next layer. Make sure things are lined up nicely. You might have to play with it a little bit to make sure that your corners are lining up. And situated. Okay. So I don't use any chemicals in my garden. I don't believe in chemicals. Just whatever organic stuff that I can get from the local farm store, or I always try to shop locally. So. And I don't mean just your local Tractor Supply. I mean like local hardware store. A lot of times will have the stuff that I need for growing. One I like to go to here that's local is Worth Smith. Big shout out to Worth Smith and their family. I love the Smith family. All right, so time for our next layer. Now I think I'll go back to that little shovel because we're getting kind of full. Our holes are getting a little bit smaller, so I might just use the stuff on the ground. No sense of wasting anything, people. This grass. And yes, I'm using my hands on manure. This is composted. It's pretty much just like dirt with wood chips at this point because they use a lot of sawdust. It's not going to leave very much room for your strawberries. If I were to do this over, I would eliminate this top box and start bigger at the bottom. The bottom is 24 inches by 22 7/8. Yeah, I would just have it bigger. Like I said, one side, whatever your measurement will be, and then the other side is going to be 1 7/8 smaller, so that as you go up, you can alternate your blocks. Look at pumpkin. I'm hoping I didn't miss the season. Strawberry plants are getting kind of large. So we'll see. We'll see how they do. I should have planted these a little while ago. I just didn't have time and I didn't have my boxes finished. So I still actually have to make 2 more boxes in order to be done with this project. And then my next one is going to be replanting my raspberry bushes. Okay, here on the farm I have cherry trees, blueberry bushes. I have a peach tree that does very well. I have a pear tree that is just starting to produce fruit. I think last year was the first year. Cherry trees not so much because I actually had 2 of them, and I don't know if you know, but cherry trees you need two trees to pollinate, and one of my trees died, so there's that. And I have a bunch of apple trees as well. And then, like I said, my raspberries are mammoth raspberries, and then I have wild blackberries that grow, and Concord grapevines. So I like to have a lot of different fruits along with my vegetables so we can make jams and stuff. Well, that's pretty much it for today. I thank you guys for watching. Thank you for supporting me. Until next time.